Hey, welcome back everybody. This is M-Dog and we are continuing our leveling series. It is nighttime and rainy here at Mosquito. Let's see what's... Alright, rough order, but do we know where to catch rough from? We still don't know, do we? We still don't know. So let's just try an experiment here while it's nighttime. And if it seems like it's not working at all, then we'll maybe switch to Crucian Gibbles. Let's see. Alright, so we want to switch it over to rough. So that means worms. We could try, do we want to clip? I just kind of want to cast like in this direction. I'm still just stubbornly not believing that we can't catch rough over here. It's so, I feel like it's always been fairly reliable over here. So, being a little stubborn about it, we're going to try it one more time. Alright, we got to get our other small hook. Alright, so we're going to put a small hook on this one, and on this one we'll put red worm. We have one red worm, right? We'll see if that catches us a rough. And then I'll drink my coffee and we'll look at recent comments we've gotten. And see what else we can do. It's just going to be a miserable, rainy experience. I thought what we could do is maybe do a little bit of crucian carp, gibble carp fishing, and then maybe come back here and do a little bit of roach. See how good the roach bite rate is in this spot. We saw it a little bit last episode. So no big plans for this episode, other than we did talk about maybe going and cooking. So we'll have to like pick our time. Maybe we'll try to find a roach spot over there near camp. I don't know. It won't take that long to cook 10 tea, so we technically could just do that. In fact, we should go ahead and shovel once before the rain takes our energy away. So there's some worms. Alright, so far no bites over here, so this might not be the spot. This still might not be the spot. Alright, recent comments. What have we got? Jonathan Waddell says, I think maybe the beginning of the video explain some things in the short. Once you get some silver, it can be overwhelming trying to know what's what. Example, what would be a bolo rod? What's it used for? What's a picker rod used for? Yeah, those are great questions. And honestly, if you do search like RF4 bolo rods, I think in general on YouTube, but certainly if you do that on my channel, you'll get some specific things about different types of gear. So just as a heads up, but I'm happy to do that. I'll try to remember to do that at some of the beginning of these videos, maybe like take a look at a certain category. Basically the deal with bolo rods is that it's your first opportunity. If you level up float fishing enough that you can use these, it's your first opportunity to be able to float fish for something a little bit bigger, at a lower level, because you can put a reel on these. So all the pressure of the fish is not being placed on your, single pole. The force of the fish is being dispersed through the line and the reel. And so you can kind of play the fish out, play the fight, wear it out. Do be careful with bolo rods though. A lot of them are super long. Like this one's 7.5 meters long. You always want to be careful not to get too long of one. They actually can be quite difficult to use if you end up with really long ones. So that is one thing I would say. But yeah, bolo rods is basically just a way to continue to float fish if that's what you're into. So you're still using the same mechanic of float fishing with a float or bobber, but instead of pulling the fish straight out, you've got that reel attached, so you can cast a lot farther. And like I said, you can fight the fish more like you would with spinning or bottom fishing, because you've got that reel to adjust the drag and not just snap it because the fish is too strong. All right, that's a good sign. So we caught a rough on regular worm. Great. Now, this still may not be the best spot. Like, we just haven't seen, like, the best bite rate maybe on them. But if they're actually here, then at least we have a possibility. And there's a white bream. This is what you sort of expect over here, to be honest with you. Anywhere around these docks, either this dock or the other dock, you kind of just expect to be able to consistently find a few white bream and rough. And then really, everything else too. Like there's usually crucian, gibbles, roach. I mean, this is where the Christmas to New Year's float fishing event was last year. And, we all spent hours and hours fishing in this spot with telesticks and saw all kinds of crazy stuff come in. Tench, What's up? Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and let's read some more comments here. Are these fish actually on? Or just nibbling still? All right, what else we have? But that's good advice, Jonathan Waddell. I'll try to remember to do that more. Oh no, I've lost my spot. Oh, here we are. Norby Mad says, nice, always like leveling guide in all of your vids, M-Dog. Thank you, Norby. I appreciate it. Let's see. Dragon Gaming says, for the pond spot, so I'm assuming we're talking about at Winding. For the pond spot, you need to use COM, some kind of roach mix, and crucian gibbles will come, sometimes tench and roaches. Okay, that's interesting. Hey, it's another rough. You notice that red worm, I mean, it may have a little rough on there now. It's just too light of a bite to show up on the rod, but the worm seems to actually be pulling these rough in better than the red worm. Yeah, still no fish on. Oh, it's stuck to the bottom. Let's see if we can. There we go. We got it off. We'll let it keep sitting. All right. So in terms of tips, Luke Selly came in with, this was from episode 2. Don't spend your skill points until you know what you enjoy in the game. Real life fishing doesn't exactly correlate in the game. Don't buy unnecessary tackle. You will end up with warehouses full of unneeded stuff. And you can't get rid of that stuff, right? It's not like you can sell it back after you've used it. So that's good advice. And then 3, don't waste your point reset until at least level 20. And I would say like level 28. If you can hold on to that point reset. And so if you don't know what they're talking about, every new account does have a point reset. After you use it one time, it's gone. And then it requires gold, which is purchased with real money, to reset your skills. So don't use it. Hold on to it for as long as you can. And I think that's really solid advice, especially about don't feel like you have to put skill points in right from the very start. If you don't know what you're going to get into or kind of, it's okay. Just keep playing without the skill points until you start getting some idea of like where you want to put them. There's some categories that are no brainer to me, but you don't know that when you first start. So I think that's good advice. Gravis Ton says, hey, M-Dog, hey. All right, and let's see what else we have. Eric Van Derstein says, you can put the link in, but you need to put some space in it so it's not recognized as a link. So that's from the first episode when we were asking what resources are people using these days. So Zach Crouch says, for the longest time, I didn't know that you get all the baits when digging. Thought you could only pick one. Also, great videos. Hey, thanks, Zach. Yeah, and I can get that. So yeah, when you use the shovel and dig, and it shows you that list of baits, you don't have to choose. You actually get all of those, which is nice. And if you have more points, you're more likely. If you put points in bait harvesting, you're more likely to get multiples. And another. Oh, here's some more advice from that second episode. Abovo, ABOVO says, my number one advice to new players: if you find a species or spot that you find fun, do it regardless of XP or silver per hour. This game takes a while, so enjoy the moments. It doesn't feel like a grind. Yeah, that's great advice, and that should be for all players, not just new players. Great advice there. Arn Frederick Samuelson says, rule number 1, follow MDog's tutorial and learn from it. That's very kind. Number 2, don't buy and use any more silver than you have to. If you need one hook, buy that and not 2 or 3. This is perhaps controversial. Use the fish method you use in real life. Then you know the technique, colors, how to read the water and surroundings. Put all your points in this from the start, and when you are absolutely sure what you want to do in the future, you can reset it. I started with telesticks and bought one expensive 4-meter, one 8-meter, and fished lots of big gibbles, crucian perch, common roach. Earned money to buy feeder sets. I caught over 100 trophies on these rods. This is similar. This is a simulator and not a common game. Yeah, very good, thoughtful advice. Thanks for sharing that with everybody. That's really helpful. Okay, so there's some of the more recent comments. So the rough are here, but they're just too slow, right? Just too slow. And Gravis was talking about, in-game chat, was talking about the video I did on the announcement about the new water body, saying that he hopes that it comes with a new boat that allows for placing feeder rods in rod holders. And yeah, I think that would be awesome. Like, I would love it if they go that direction, but I mean, you know, there's no indication that they are. It would just be a hope. It would kind of make sense on a map like that if they want to include folks that are into bottom fishing, but I could see them also just not doing that. Okay. Did this get stuck again? Nope. Isn't it interesting that we never caught anything on the red worm? We still have this red worm. But I want to go switch to the crucian gibble spot, I think, for a bit. And then we'll see. Maybe we'll come fish for a few roach over here. We're just kind of chilling while we're waiting on crucian gibbles. I could also go make some tea, perhaps. All right, so we're going to do what? 7, 8 meter clip over there. No telling how long this little fish has been on here. A little rough, I think. It's early enough. We could still probably catch maybe one more. I'm going to put it back in because, and let's go look at that cafe order just to see if we're getting close on it. Nothing here. What was the rough? 5 from 20? Yeah, so we just need one more rough. So it's worth holding out. That's almost 30 silver. I mean, that's crazy silver, right? So we'll do that. Let's go place this in our crucian gibble spot. But we'll keep the other two there. And maybe we'll go craft some tea. So remember I was saying with the tea, we're doing this so that we can dig more often, basically. We're just going to leave all of our rods set up, hopefully catch 3 fish on them. And then we're going to run around to camp, which thankfully is really close. So we are using the last episode we bought matches and wood so that we could start this fire. Press Y to start the fire, hit E to craft. And then we're just going to craft some tea. So we have 10 of these, so we should be able to do this 10 times. And each thing you craft gives you 6 portions. So we'll be able to drink tea 60 times, and obviously we'll want to craft a heck of a lot more than just 10. Because it does level up your cooking so well early on. And also we just want to have access to tons of tea and coffee and other stuff that we can drink. In particular, when you get a little higher level and you start getting, like at Old Berg, if you run into some like more legitimate fish fights that last a while, then that's where the drinks will become more important, not just for digging, but also for keeping your energy up with those heavy fish that you're trying to reel in. So we'll get some tea made. And I think the fire does this, slowly brings up your comfort level as well. It looks like that is working. All right, so we can put, if you hold down T, you know, it brings up your food and drink that you have available. We can put tea in one of the number slots, but when you have this few stuff in your inventory, it's pretty easy just to hit T and then click on the T. So we'll just do it that way. Yeah, our comfort level has come up. I think that does still work. Actually, stand by it for another minute here, and let's craft our bread. We bought some more bread at the store, I guess. Might as well do that before we start digging. In fact, it might be worth getting a few more loaves of bread and just, for as long as we can get points from making bread, still do it a little bit longer. And then now we also start the digging. So with digging comes drinking tea. I think like the coffee, the cocoa, maybe even the soda, some of the other options might bring up your energy a little faster, but I like starting off with tea because it's a little cheaper than the coffee to start making it at an early level. It's a nice gibble. So I appreciate that. And it still works on energy, just a little slower maybe. I think this is going to be a roach or something, not a rough, unfortunately. It may be hard to get this final rough. Or is a perch. We've got worms in, so it's probably a perch, huh? But, I mean, it's worth it to try. Just because of the amount that cafe order is worth, right? Okay, we've got 4. All right, let me take a quick bio break. I'll be right back, and then we'll keep going. Let me see if there's a fish on this already. I'll pull it and reset it. Bite rate's really good over here. I do kind of want to hit the Crucian Gibbles over here with all 3, but it's just so tempting with the ability to get that rough. Look at this. That's a tench. Very nice. All right, I'll be right back. Well, if we don't have a rough on over there, we're probably just not gonna get one. Unless we get one at the very end of the video, we'll see. But at this point, we just need to move all of our rods over here for a little bit, focus on crucian gibbles, because there might be a couple cafe orders we could sort of snag that way as well. And then, got to keep digging. 3.8. So when you drink tea, it does last a while, the effects of it, but I tend to overdrink. That is really depressing. All right, we'll make some bread. If there's still no rough, we will skip them. Ooh, a couple of failures there. So let's see. It is... Yeah, I should be able to go right at an hour on this episode. Just kind of looking at the time and work stuff. We should be able to go right at an hour though. All right. Man, just can't buy a rough, huh? A lot of snags over here. It might snag less if we had put the 15-gram cages on here instead of the 30. These are pretty weak setups to have the 30-gram cages on there, but I just don't like to buy those cages more than once, the cheap ones. And 30 seems to be a pretty good number where you feel like you can have enough weight to actually cast a little bit. All right, so we're switching. Definitely time for us to get some more green hooks in a variety of sizes. We should do that fairly soon. These are some really cheap hooks that we're still using. I'm just going to use bread straight across. See what we get just for, you know, a couple in-game hours here. And then we'll go, I guess, check out the roach spot instead of, you know, sometimes we've been moving to winding, kind of doing some float fishing during the day. But I think we'll just stay put this time and see if we can catch some common roach over there off one of the docks. And of course, if if I had known we were going to not finish that rough order, it would have been much better to spend the evening fishing for crucian gibels in this spot. So a little bit of a risk that might not pay off there, because now we're kind of in the middle of the day where the size is going to be so much smaller. We could have caught a bunch of fat ones at night. Still getting those points though. Let's see what's coming up in bottom fishing. 25% we can use Paternoster. And we probably will. You know, right now we're using the simple bottom rig. Paternoster, it says it's a feeder is attached to separate leader. No, sorry, that's simple, right? That's confusing. Paternoster says it's a simple bottom rig in which the feeder is attached to a separate leader. Universal option for all occasions. Simple bottom says primitive bottom rig with a regular sinker. Ultimately, I really like using loop rig a lot. Inline and loop rig are the ones that I typically use the most once you get higher level. But for now, just doing simple bottom and then Paternoster when it unlocks, I think is fine. I probably wouldn't put points in Paternoster, just me personally, because I do tend to like switch over to loop and inline, so I would save points for those. Now putting points in simple bottom rig, I think that's fine, because I do tend to use that for, you know, like when we're fishing for rough, not using a feeder cage, might as well just put it on simple bottom to me. So some fish species I will use it. When you get to the really big fish that you still are using like bottom fishing techniques, sometimes I'll go back to simple bottom on even like sturgeon or something like that. But because you know, in those situations you're more using PVA, not the ground bait in a feeder cage. So the other thing about the fact that we're digging now is you see our hunger meter is going down faster. So one of the trade-offs is we now have to start worrying about, I say worrying about, I mean, you have to start kind of feeding yourself a little bit more if you don't want to have to stare at that hunger meter being really low and red. There's no like big penalty for being hungry in this game, other than I think perhaps you don't get energy back quite as quickly. But it's just a preference thing for me. The idea of being starving and fishing seems like not a good one, so. So once you start shoveling a lot, even though you do get the free food here or at winding once every 24 hours, because you're shoveling and that decreases your hunger level more quickly than just normal, you probably will have to, like, you know, buy some other food options, even if it's just bread or whatever, just to kind of get through the 24-hour period. But the free food still helps for sure. So it's 1 o'clock. Yeah, let's switch now. All right, so what are we switching to? Roach mix and maybe maggots. If we really want to try to lean into the common roach, maybe maggots, and bread still might work pretty good too, but think I like the idea of maggots. We'll see. Let's go to the other dock. So we want to take the clip back off. And we don't necessarily have to cast it real far though. Like anywhere in this spot here I think is going to work for roach. We'll see. So over the next few episodes, we're just going to try to keep pushing that bait harvesting up. And the farther you can do it with just digging and or bread, the cheaper it is to level it. Now, obviously, if you want to level it quickly to get to pearl barley, then doing a lot of bread and then doing some potato cubes is more, you can do that quicker, but it, requires silver. So we need it's nice to build up a few red worms along the way anyway. I just like the idea of being self-sustaining through digging for baits as much as possible, which, if you're going to do it that way, it probably is worth throwing a point or two into harvesting baits, but I haven't decided if we're going to go that direction or not. All right, switch this to roach mix and switch this to maybe just worms on this one. Take the clip off and just kind of cast it right out here. Let's see what we have. I think this will be a roach. Now, worm might catch more perch, the downside. Oh, this is a crucian again. There's something else we should be using to embrace the roach. Casters. We could try casters. The poor man's maggots. Casters. Okay, let's see what we've got in terms of cafe orders. The nice thing about a loaf of bread, if you don't use it to turn into bait, which obviously you should use most of your bread to turn into bait at this point, but if you eat it, you can eat it 4 times before it's gone, and you can still turn it into bait when there's just one portion left, and I think you still have the same chance of getting the level up. Obviously, you don't make as much bait that way, but we don't really care about that. We're trying to get those points. All right, so 5 crucians for 9 silver. They would have been worth next to nothing. And that's probably all we're going to go get unless we get on a run of perch here. I mean, sorry, common roach. I guess we could get on a run of perch, but... So we don't have... We're not going to be slaying the cafe orders today, it doesn't look like. Although, once it gets late enough, we're going to try to snag that last rough. If this doesn't pick up a little bit, I'm thinking about going over there and trying for roach over in our other little spot over there. Did we finally hit a roach? Yep. So that was on maggots. This one's on worm. Could be a perch, but feels like a roach. It's perch. Worm, much more likely to get perch than maggots. All right, here comes castor, so let's see what castor ends up being. All right, all three of them coming through with a fairly quick bite here, so that's good. We'll stick here then. That's a roach. I like it. How much silver do we have? I might go buy one of those bait boxes. Yeah. I'm going to buy one of those bait boxes. What is it, like 10 or 11 silver? But we're getting low on castors and maggots. And I wouldn't mind having a few extra red worms to play with, since we're not going to be digging that many this early in our leveling process. So here's the bait kit, 11.9 silver. We also have been using bloodworms a good bit. We haven't tried bark beetle larvae. These can be really good for roach as well, so this is a no-brainer. It's a good deal. You basically get, I think the value, if you add it all up, somebody might have to check my math on this, but I think it's still a good deal even if you don't include the fact that you're getting worms, which we obviously don't need worms. We're digging worms now faster than we'll be able to use them, unless we really focused on fishing with worms, but that's an eyed on the castors. By the way, on that bait box, we do have to open it. It's right now it's just sitting in our inventory as a box, so. That's a nice one. I enjoy this because we're using 3 different baits, so we kind of get to see what's going on. Yeah, so you unpack it, and I think what I'll do is next time we catch a fish on worm, we'll switch that up to bark beetle larva. But I also like that we can catch these like decent roach in the middle of the day when if we were, strictly going for crucian or gibbles, we might mostly get small ones, non-marker size. So I definitely enjoy taking a break from crucian gibbles if you're going to focus those a lot early on in your leveling process. Really trying to do that more in the evening, overnight, early morning, but doing something else during the middle of the day. I guess the other argument for not doing that, first of all, it's just sometimes it's just nice to sit somewhere for an hour straight, but the other argument is if you have a really good bite rate on the crucian gibbles, you're still getting points in bottom fishing, even if the fish aren't giving you that much silver. To me, though, if you can find fun ways to get some good silver early on, it will just get you out of this early game where you feel like you don't have the resources to do anything, which we're kind of already past that on this account now. Once you've got 3 feeder setups, if that's what you're doing, and you've got the shovel and you can start cooking, like, okay, you're getting there. But, and to me, the next priority for us, like next episode, I think we probably want to get just an investment in a few hook sizes. Like right now, if we had, let's say, 12s, maybe even 10s, I'd probably do that. It might bump our average on the roach up just a teeny bit. Same with crucian gibbles. Even if it slows your bite rate down a tiny bit, which I'm not even sure that it does, if it's helping on this, get those chunkier ones more often, like, I think it's worth it. But we've had some good fish. I do hope that, let's see, we've got About 19 minutes left. I'm hoping that we can, or maybe 15 minutes, hoping we can snag an early rough. So I probably ought to switch. Oh, I guess we haven't gotten another fish yet. I was going to try bark beetle larva on this one for a minute. So let's do that. And then the other two, as we start catching fish on the other two, we're going to switch those to our, hey, there's a roach on worms. We're going to switch those to the small hooks and just see if we can snag a rough right before the end here. So digging works significantly different than it used to. Used to, digging would not require that much energy, so you could do it more often. But you also did not get as much bait per dig, and I think the chances of leveling it up were a lot lower. I think they did fine. I mean, my guess is that they did sort of balance it a little bit. Maybe they felt like you were leveling bait harvesting a little too quickly with how digging used to work, but that's been a while ago when that change happened. So unless you've been around for a bit, you may not remember that. I remember the first time I did a leveling guide or series like this after the change, it took me a while to adjust. Like at first I was just not sure that digging was even the way to go at all anymore. But once I started seeing like, oh, I'm getting a lot more baits per dig. We're getting points on almost every dig that's successful. I kind of came around to the new way of still having value. All right, so we're switching to worms. We're also going to go back to no ground bait. And we're just going to see if we can get a lucky rough right here before the end. We may not, but we're going to try it. All right, here's going to be our first fish on bark beetle. I think bark beetle larva could be an interesting bait to use here. I hadn't thought about that in a while. But sometimes the roach especially really like that bark beetle larva. We need to compare the price of those. I think they're still pretty cheap though. Don't think it's going to set you back much more than maggots or casters. I think all of those little insect baits are pretty close in price, but let's see. Yeah, just slightly more. Actually, almost the same as casters. It's a rare and universal bait. Large roach-eyed white bream and common bream. I've not seen this bait be very good for regular bream that I can remember. Even though that's in the description. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember catching bream on bark beetle very often. I think we've got a fish on. I just don't know which line it's on. All right, bark beetle. Ooh. If this is a roach, it's another reasonably decent one. Yeah, marker roach. I like it. And this is way too big to be another rough. And then I think we need to switch that first rod. It's a tench though. That's cool. We need to switch that first rod to worms. See if we can increase our chances on the... Yeah, let's go ahead and switch it. Instead of hanging out with casters any longer. Hopefully we have just enough time to get one more rough. I could try... putting red worm out there, but it seemed like last time regular worm was really doing better. Doing better than the red worm, so we'll see. 6.5%. Yeah, so you can see we've eaten a couple of pieces of this bread. Our hunger's full. You know, you get a little bit of hunger filled with tea, but not very much if you're also digging, because the digging wears your hunger pretty quick. Still processing whether or not I want to get points here. Even just 1 point, if it increases the chance as we get a little higher in bait harvesting, increases the chance of being successful, maybe gives us red worms a little more often. I could see 1 point being worth it. I've had 3 points in it before, because especially pre-reset, like so when you're in your up to your level 20s or whatever before you've used a reset, you're going to be digging a lot, you know? And then I think at end game or at high levels, it's probably worth having points there again if it increases your chance of getting some of the rare baits. I mean, we're just talking about 3 points, and once you get pretty high level. So if you don't know, the way the point system works is we're only getting 1 point per level right now. But once we hit level 20, we'll be getting 2 points per level. And then at 30, you start getting 3 points per level, and so forth. So this could be a rough, oh, nope, too big. So your points are in short supply when you first start, obviously. And you'll always have less points than you want, for the most part, but it does get to be a lot better as you get a little higher level, for sure. All right, we're approaching level 10. I'd say next episode we'll hit level 10. And obviously we need to make a lot more silver, but if we do keep making some decent silver, hit some cafe orders, I am still thinking about, mostly just kind of for fun, getting this universal spinning start kit. Because then we can use this Lacerti on a feeder rod as well. I don't know, but it gives us the option of having some like silly fun here at Mosquito with trolling, at least trying it out. Something's got a fish on. Oh, be a rough. Be a rough, come in just at the right time here. I think it is. Is it heavy enough? It's a bleak? What? What? That's not right. We'll dig in the dirt this time. All right. That's what you want to see. Red worms. I mean, let's see. We may have gotten enough roach for that one order, right? We just need to make sure. So let's look at common roach and do it by weight. So our 5 lightest roach would be worth 7 silver. Or if we do the order, our 5 lightest, we'd get 11 silver. So it's a net gain. There's still 3 days left, so we'll wait and just in case we get a small roach off one of these worms or something, we'll wait a little bit longer, but so we'll get that cafe order done. Now the only question is, will we get one more rough? Oof. Yeah, we're not going to get anywhere near that white bream order. Just making sure it wasn't a small one. Juicy roach. I like it. Perch. Was there a perch order? We are coming down to the wire here. Let's make sure this isn't snagged. Nope. We are coming down to the wire. We may not get this rough done. I gotta remember that. Whoa. It's gotta be a perch, right? What else would this be? Tench. I guess it could be anything because it's worm. Tench. That's on a really small hook. Alright, where's 4574? It's gonna be like way down here somewhere, right? Somebody just said that 4574 is good for rough. So I need to remember that for next episode. I don't have time to switch up a spot right now. I think it's gonna be on around here. Yeah. Interesting. Wait, this is our Crucian Gibble spot. Okay, interesting. All right, we can try it. I haven't tried that. I haven't tried rough down there. Okay. Next time we're in need of a cafe rough order, we'll give it a try. Man, are we really not going to get this? Yeah, and if I wasn't bound by these like episodes, I would be determined to get this order. I mean, like I said in previous episodes, definitely when you find really lucrative and easy cafe orders, which a lot of them here at Mosquito can be, it's worth figuring it out. I don't know, it's a little chunky to be a rough. Maybe? Nope. But that does help us on that common roach order. Alright, this is the like Hail Mary, you know, like it's the end of the game. No timeouts left. That's going to be funny if this is where we need to be fishing for rough. Probably catch everything in this spot in terms of the like roach, gibbles, carp, crucian carp. If rough are really active there. All right, one last check, and then we're done. We'll go check this one. Hopefully there's a fish on, and then we'll come back and check the first one. And then we are wrapping it up. Got a long night of work ahead of me, but we'll continue to try to get these episodes in. All right, did this turn into a fish? Not yet. It did get a nibble though, didn't it? Give it a minute here. So we should be able to afford a couple of hooks with all the fish we've caught, especially if we hit, well, we'll get that roach order for sure. If we can hit a rough order. I'm worried this is not a rough though because of how long it's been nibbling. I just don't think that's a rough, right? Looks like a crucian gibel roach kind of thing. All right. Fish on over here. Too big. Too big. One last look. So that's the question. I mean, we'll try it next time, but if the crucian gibels are that active here, are we going to really catch rough that often? But we'll see. Maybe we will. Maybe that's a spot where redworm is better, you know? So, all right, let's get these cafe orders done. Actually, we just have one, right? So we'll do it by weight. And how much did we make overall? Another 40 silver. Not bad. It does add up. Okay. Hey, I gotta take off. But as always, thanks for watching Tight Lines, and I will see you again soon.